Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Where are you all? I can't see you. Put on your videos.
Ma'am, I'd like to be excused today. I'm not feeling very well.
Okay, all right. How about others? Vrinda, Laranya, are you guys there?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. Please put on your videos. Maybe you can put them off in between. That's fine. All right. Let's just wait for 2 more minutes and then probably we can start. So, how was your week? Last week, how was it? Did you guys do the assignment that was given to you? Hmm? That's great. I hope you had no issues while doing the assignment. Was it
No, ma'am.
easy or difficult?
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy. That's great. So, I'll just share my screen and then we can discuss. Maybe we have a different topic today. And now today I would like all of you to participate, and it's very important. It's the most important topic when it comes to case history taking and mental status examination for today. So you can note down if you want to. All right, now I think we can start. So, according to you, do you have any idea what is case history taking? We'll start with case history taking first. Why is it so important? Any idea that you have? Yes, Ananya?
So, ma'am, case history taking is basically sort of a way to understand the client better. It helps us identify what their concerns are. It's basically a record of the person's
Hmm.
medical, or in this case, a psychological condition,
Hmm.
which is further used to, aid the treatment and diagnosis of whatever their issues may be.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So it's very essential that we take the case history properly so that we are in the right direction. We get more information about the client, and that will help in diagnosis or even helping the client better. All right. So, what is the content of case history taking and how do we go about it? So, first thing when it comes to case history taking is taking down the personal information, the demographic details like name, sex, age, mother tongue, education, occupation, religion. Why do you think all these things are essential? This just looks like any other form. What do you think this will help us with knowing their details? Any idea? Why are we taking all these details? Why not just the name and age and it's done?
Ma'am, so sociodemographic details basically help us understand the client better. This is how we try and get to know the other person. So this is the first step in building a rapport.
Yes.
Once you get to understand the person much better, it's easier to communicate with them. Once you get the background, it's also easy to understand where they're coming from and what questions you can ask, what questions would make them uncomfortable.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's what I wanted to hear. So, knowing their family type, what kind of family, what kind of mindset do they have, what kind of languages did they speak, what kind of religion do they belong to, what is their occupation, and what is their level of education, how much you can make, how much effort you need to put in to make them understand better, you so this is the most important. And the personal information is something that whenever you take it from a client, then you'll exactly know, okay, this is how I need to behave, this is how I need to, this much I need to explain to the client. Like, for example, if the client does not understand English or Hindi, then you'll have to figure out some way to make him or her understand. If he or she is not very much educated and is not aware about the language that you're using, so you have to go in a simplified manner. If he or she is not belonging to a particular religion, and then of course you have to be very, very careful. So all these information are essential, like even such as family income. So, what kind of socioeconomic background do they come from? What will they be able to afford? The treatment plan that you will be suggesting. So, all these, things have to be taken down very carefully. What is their resident area of residence? What kind of, so basically, just to give you an idea, so this is very essential. If you want to note down, you can note down these details that are required in personal information. Whenever you are doing your counseling, you can create your own form in whatever way you are comfortable. There are a lot of ready formats available for case history, but definitely you can customize it according to how you are comfortable in taking history. Are you done? Should I move to the next one? So, presenting complaints. This is another aspect. Why he or she has come or has been brought in for help. It usually describes present symptoms, including the duration of each and an account of development of illness. Complaints should be in chronological order, with the earliest complaint first and recent being the last in the list. Both the client and the informant's version should be taken. So in this case, a lot of times it happens that you have been referred by someone. Maybe you visit a doctor or somewhere, and then he says that you should see someone, and they give you a reference. Okay, so both the perspectives have to be taken. Like from the one who is referred, maybe you can get in touch with them and ask what are the complaints that he or she observed, maybe, and note down it very carefully whatever the client is telling you, that this is happening with me. Maybe, like, for example, he's come to you for some maybe symptoms, some physical symptoms, like I'm facing a lot of breathlessness whenever I go back to those thoughts of some trauma or something like that. So he or she is describing those symptoms, so you should look at how what is the duration of those symptoms, how much he or she has already. Maybe somebody is saying that he usually gets panic attacks at 4 or 5 uh, at night, and rest of the day he's absolutely fine. So keep a track of that, those small little details, whenever the client is actually telling you in detail. And always remember to write down in the chronological order, so that you can also, it will be good for you. Yes, Ananya?
Ma'am, I just had a question. So,
Yeah.
presenting complaints are usually written in verbatim, right? So,
Pardon?
presenting complaints are usually written in verbatim, right? The
Yes,
way,
yes,
yes.
yes,
So, when they're written in verbatim, do you actually write the entire statement that the person is saying, or just
yes.
specific words?
So just the specific words, because you have to be very, very quick, but try if you can write down those exact statements. That will be great if you can just write them in quotes. But yes, as much as you can quickly note them down and as much precise. The keywords are very, very important. That's what I'll see. In practicality, we always study it in a theoretical manner, that we have to write it in exact verbatim and this and that. But when you are actually taking in a counseling session and you are just quickly writing down, because the client can be really fast. So what I personally do is I just write the keywords and then elaborate it on later on, whenever I'm free after the client leaves. So I just quickly note down the keywords so that I remember, that I am able to recall what exactly the client said. So those things do not get missed out, just the important points, right? So this is something exactly what the client is complaining about, what is his or her presenting complaints, what he is trying to convey. So what this is what I do in practicality. You have to write it in exact statements. That's what the rule says, that you have to write the presenting complaints in the exact statements. But what I do is I always write the keywords and then maybe complete it on later on, because at that very moment it gets very difficult to actually do so many things in one go. So that's what I hope, Ananya,
Got
I'm
it.
able to
Thank you.
answer.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So, like, for example, yeah, just the way I was telling you, low mood, difficulty remembering, difficulty concentrating, decreased energy, interest in energy, decreased self-worth, feeling of guilt, death wishes. So all of these, maybe the above three are for 6 months have been happening, but from the last 1 month these things are also happening, so together, so it's in total a 7 month thing. So whenever you are writing all of these things, just quickly note down whatever the client is saying, and then you maybe you can make small notes. This is for mainly your reference, how you get to understand the client and how you just annotate quickly, so that you do not miss out any information, because every word spoken by the client is very, very important, because it has a meaning. When you come to the diagnosis part and when you come to the treatment part, every word spoken by, because the client can say that I told you before also, and then you'll be like, oh no, I missed this point while writing the others. So you have to be very, very careful and alert while taking case history. This is the most important part. So, history of present problem. This provides a comprehensive and chronological picture of the events leading up to the current moment in the client life. The evolution of the patient's symptoms should be determined and summarized in an organized and a systematic manner. So this is just talking about whatever we just discussed, the events, the current moment, whatever the client is facing right now at the moment. So the symptoms should be summarized in a systematic manner. That's very essential. Like, for example, since client's father passed away 2 years back, he had been distressed and not being able to come to terms with the loss. But he was somehow functioning. But since the last 6 months, he had been suffering from low mood, decreased energy. He was also getting irritable easily and suffering from anger outbursts. He was having remorse that he could not save his father's life despite all the efforts. He used to remain sad all day and was not carrying out his earlier responsibilities like going to the market, keeping accounts. He also had to be coaxed to follow his daily self care activities. He was not liking to socialize with people and preferred spending time alone. So, in this case, what do you think are the presenting complaints? I'll just share my screen again so that you can read it again if you want to. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Who wants to answer?
Ma'am, the first complaint would be dealing with the loss of the father.
Hmm.
The second one would be decreased energy and irritability.
Hmm.
And with the feelings of loss, we could also associate the feeling of not being able to save his father, which is guilt.
Hmm.
And yeah, those are the major complaints that I could
Yeah.
find out.
Low mood also. You missed out. Low mood. And
Yeah, I missed out that
yes.
one.
And so what exactly is the concern? Can you see the last part of it? What is it that makes him come to the counselor?
He's unable to talk to other people about it because he prefers spending time alone.
Hmm. Yes. And
He
what is
was
the major concern? Like, what is it something that, one cannot live without? His daily activities, that is something that is a red flag. In this entire case, when I read this for the very first time, so one thing that, just struck my mind that yes, this is something he's not able to live his daily life properly, just the way he was living before. So this is something that is hampering him, you know, and affecting him the most. All the other things come as a secondary package. The first thing is are you able to live your life in a proper manner, with all the self-care activities? Are you able to do? Are you able to give yourself a priority? Are you able to, daily functioning? That is being affected. So this is a big red flag. That's why he has been referred. So, because of his father's death, he has been all these other presenting complaints that, like we discussed, you're absolutely right. So, this is also one thing that, is the thing that he has been referred to. That's what I read, and I was like, I'll share it with you guys. And definitely, this is a good case for discussion, and it will be good to discuss about. So, next thing that comes is the treatment history. So, whether the treatment was voluntary, involuntary, who saw the patient, and for how long? Psychiatrist, psychologist, physician, or anyone for that matter. The nature of the treatment, then any medication that was prescribed. So, this also comes in the treatment history. Then comes the medical history. So, medical history, illness, and conditions. This is also very essential part just for us to know that does the patient suffer from any prior medical history, anything that, there are a lot of comorbid conditions that are there. So, just to check that, we need to take the medical history, any major injury that has happened before, maybe some accident or something. So, this is very essential for us to know. Frequent medical consultation, any treatment that is being going on, any hospitalization before. So whenever, so you always ask this in general only, any prior hospitalization or any major injury or any accident or anything. So while conversing only, you take all these things during case history time. Next comes the family history. This is also very essential aspect, as we discussed before also. So what kind of communication, is it direct or indirect? What in the family leadership, how is it? Who is the head? Who's the nominal head? Who's the functional head? Who is actually heading the family? Decision making, who takes the decision? All major decisions are being taken by one member, or it's a consensus? What kind of family is it? So just to know a bit about the family. So knowing about the family is much, much, much beyond than what he or she is just speaking. Maybe with the body language also you'll get to know a lot of things about the client. Is he actually saying what, is he actually meaning what he is saying? So, a lot of other things also you get to know. And you can quickly, note down your observations as well, side by side. Cohesiveness, how is the bonding, like how close are, like for example, if a child has come to you, how close he is with with his parents, does he share everything with them, you know how good is the bonding with his siblings? So all of these things are very essential. Family history, when it comes to any history of suicide at home, or maybe some addiction, anything like that, so you can definitely ask while talking, you can ask all of these things. So how is the, as I was telling you, relationship with the family members, patient's relationship with the family members, interpersonal relations among the family members, any kind of family problems at home. Maybe it could be a case like where uh, a woman is coming to you where she does not get along with her in-laws, for that manner. This is a very common cases that you see. They don't get along, so they want to separate out, so they come for counseling, that I'm not able to cope up. So this is also one example. So there are different examples that you will come across while when you are actually practicing counseling. So all these things are very important. How the relationships are between the brothers, how is it, do they have, they will pretend that they have a very cordial relationship, but then later on you will, while talking, discussing, you will realize that okay, no, they have some conflicts between them. So those also have to be resolved, and those also have to be taken into account. Then only the entire overall healing process will happen during your counseling. Otherwise, how will you counsel the person if you will not know everything about the client? So family support system, so there is always one person who is there in the family that you feel okay, yes, I can count on him or her, right? So who is that one person for him? So how is the family like? Will they help if they know that the client is taking some counseling sessions? Will they help? Will they support them? So all of these things have to be taken care. Personal history. Coming to personal history, birth and developmental history. The informant is asked about the details of birth, any delays, any developmental milestones delays. So you can ask all the milestones like walking, talking, standing, sitting, all of those. You can ask them. What type of birth? Was it a full term, premature, normal? What kind of delivery was it? Was the birth cry present immediately or was it delayed? So these are important things to ask. You can also take a chart for the milestones, and then you can quickly mark whenever you are taking history, like what everything was normal or not. Or you can just generally ask also, were the milestones normal? If you ask in detail, see, from my personal experience, if you ask in detail, then only. Otherwise, most of the parents or clients are like, yeah, everything was normal, there was no thing. But when you go in detail, when you ask them, then they open up. Oh yes, the first word was a bit delayed by 4 months or 5 months. But all of these things you have to probe and ask. So you have to be very smart in this whenever you are taking history. Academic and extracurricular activities, like what was the age of school admission, highest level of education completed, academic performance, how is he doing? Is he doing good, poor, average? How is his relations with classmates? Disciplinary problems, any particular, like the most common problem is कि बच्चा टिक के नहीं बैठता है बिल्कुल. ये बहुत सुनने को मिलता है. He will not sit. So this is these kinds of problems. He runs out of the class. So now the schools have started, so you will be getting these kinds of complaints. He will just run out of the class. He's not attending classes. So all of these, so parents are going to rant in front of you at this point of time, whenever you will. So any particular hobbies or any particular interests that he or she has. So, this will help you know the child or your client more so that you can connect with them in that manner. Presence of childhood problems. Comment on presence of hyperactivity, attention deficits, impulsivity, which are usually noticed from age of 2 or 3. Any conduct problems during childhood, like disobedience, lying, stealing, running away from school, cruelty towards animal, bossy attitude, younger children not obeying to rules while playing, etc. Temper tantrums, any particular. So, especially, a lot of kids, and especially during adolescence, this is a very common thing that they throw temper tantrums. Neurotic traits like nail biting, thumb sucking, not eating, they're stammering, bedwetting, some kind of phobias or night terrors, a lot of, so you should always ask about their sleep pattern, their food patterns, how was it when they were young, how were they able to eat properly, were they able to drink properly, what was it? So in detail, while talking, you can ask all of these things. Any childhood concern that you face, was he used to sleep properly? What was his sleeping pattern? So a lot of kids have a lot of like disturbed sleep during childhood, which also has an impact later on. All these things are very, very essential. Comment on a social relation with peer, elderly and authority figure, younger child. Like, yes, definitely. All of these things, just take care. A home atmosphere in childhood and adolescence. This is also, especially when it comes to this, home atmosphere is very, very important. And there are many researchers that have shown that, what kind of environment the child is in affects his or her personality also later on. Like if there are a lot of fights at home and the child, he so at this point when the children are from their childhood to adolescence, whatever they are seeing, they learn maximum by modeling. I hope you all understand what is modeling, right? Whatever they see, whatever they observe their parents doing, so they learn the maximum. So if what kind of a family environment, so family environment plays a very, very vital role. So, about the emotional environment at home in the formative years, whether the environment was disturbed or not, any abnormality by any parent or any, grandparent, adopted siblings, all of these things you should ask. Patients' attitudes towards parents, what kind of, is he, um, does he not like his parents? There are times I've seen a lot of cases like this, that they just have that, remorse, hatred towards their parents. And it took me really, really long just to understand what exactly happened, so that later on I got to know because of their childhood, this thing. So they did not have a very cordial atmosphere at home. So the child was just not, he used to say that my parents are mad. I don't want to talk to them. So, it was so bad. I couldn't initially understand what's wrong with the child. I mean, why is he just always abusing their parents, his or her parents? And then later on, after a few sessions, I got to know that, okay, this is the reason. After having a good rapport with the child, he opened up a bit, and then I got to know more things because his parents used to be like, he's always been like this. He's been abusing us since childhood. I mean, because of the family environment that he was living in. It was because of that. So, a lot of cases come up like this, and then you realize that yes, case history was very much important. Maybe some things I would have missed out while asking. So, always keep these things in mind. So, vocational, occupational history. Mention the age at which the individual started working. So, this is in the case when the client is working for the first time, duration of each workplace, positions held. So this will also be, giving you a lot of details like why did he leave the job? It could be a reason wherein a client comes to you, wherein he felt anxious at his or her job, or he faced something, any, it could be anything. He did not have a good cordial atmosphere. He could not adjust with his seniors. So if it was a common thing in all, then that's a red flag. Then we have to look it up, and we can maybe work upon the client, right? If he is not able to adjust with his colleagues or his superiors or his workmates, same reason being repeated one after the other. So all these things are very important. What kind of promotion? Is he getting his promotion according to his colleagues? So here you could also judge the client that, okay, not exactly judge, rather I would say to know more about the client, that is he at par, his performance is at par. I hope he's having adequate self esteem or not. If his colleagues are being favored, what impact it's having, it's there on him. So all these things are interrelated. So you should definitely talk more and ask in the case history anything about his sexual history. So this is something that you should ask indirectly, especially in India. People will not reply in a very open manner, but you should definitely ask how and when sexual information and knowledge was first obtained, and of what kind, any masturbating history, adolescent sexual activity, any case that has happened before, premarital and extramarital sexual relationship, if any. Also probe for any history of any childhood sexual abuse. So you really have to have a good rapport with the client and the informant if anyone else is also there. So then only you will be able to probe more information from them. Next is the marital history.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, Ananya.
I had a concern regarding sexual history.
Yes.
So, if at all a person belongs to the queer community and has had, for example, an operation for gender reversal or gender change or anything of the sort, and might not be comfortable talking about it, how do we go about that? Because if at all you do have a rapport that's built up and they're, exempt to talking about everything else rather than this topic, or they try to put in defense mechanisms such as projection or rationalization, or for that matter just denial. How do we deal with that?
So yes, it will definitely take time. I agree. You cannot force the client to do that, right? So you have to be very manipulative in that manner. And sometimes, that's why there is directive and non-directive counseling that's there, right? So maybe at that point of time, it's not a right time to talk. Maybe later on, once you have, so you will have to develop that kind of a rapport. I understand that it's a difficult topic and the client is already in a denial mode. So you will have to, with your counseling, using your counseling techniques, have to take him there, wherein he is able to open up. It will take time. It's not a magic that happens. Counseling is a process. That's why we always say it's an eventual process. You can't force the client to disclose certain information. Like, I am telling you very honestly, I've had cases wherein the clients lied to me initially in the case history time. And then they later on opened up and confessed that, yes, this is what happened. And I did not wanted to share it in the initial session. And now I'm comfortable and I have a trust on you. I'm disclosing all these information. So with your counseling skills, you have to develop and you have to take the client to that level wherein, he gets comfortable in sharing everything with you. But that, Ananya, that will take time and it's not a cakewalk. So it's a difficult case in this manner and it will take time.
Understood. I also had a question as to whether the person's how do I put this? Preference or sexuality, for that matter, would come under sexual history or personal history.
Uh, Sexual history, probably.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Madam, can I have a doubt?
Sure.
Okay, sometimes in situations we need to take the views of the other person also. For example, in a husband-wife relation, and when a husband is coming for counseling, he may have his version. But
Yes.
unless we know about how the wife felt the other thing, we cannot have a better conclusion. So in that case, what we'll do? Can we recommend for a joint sitting from both the parties?
Yes, definitely, definitely. You can see it totally depends upon if so there are cases wherein the husband has not told his wife only that, he's coming for counseling. If his wife is aware, and then definitely you can talk to them separately, maybe wife separately, husband separately, and maybe together as well. So, you can take both opinion and how go about it, but that totally depends upon your situation. So whoever is your client who has come to you, you will have to take consent that can I speak to your wife. That is very important, their consent for confidentiality. You have to maintain your client's confidentiality. Always remember that you cannot disclose without asking your client. So that's very important. So just remember that whenever you are, dealing in such a case, ask your client, for more information, can I reach out to your wife also, just to help me understand better? This is the way you can put it up.
One more question. We have the assignment question. It was a man who came for some relationship issues with the wife. So there may be many issues. It may not be just sexual matters. It may be in conflict of interest. Many things can go. So he has come alone for the counseling. So how can we know what is the real problem? Because when he has come for the counseling. So we may not be knowing what is the real problem. So how can we tackle the situation in that position?
So whenever you are actually like talking to your client and taking history, so that's how you will know the real problem. That's how you will develop your skills to go beyond the words of your client, right? And you cannot be judgmental, but yes, you will have this thing that, okay, this is what he's suffering and this is what is actually happening. So that's why we are taking all these things in case history, just to see how. So you have to go beyond words. That, like I told you have to note down the body language. You will get to know when you actually do it in person, when you're actually doing counseling. You will get to know what if the client is even lying to you. But some are able to mask it very efficiently, but some are not able to. Not everyone is able to. So you will get to know, as in when you experience clients, you will get to know. And you have to look at the overall view also, not just what the client is telling you, but yes, whatever the client is telling you, he has come to you with a hope, right? He has so always remember, whenever a client has come to you, he has suffered a lot, and he has actually uh, taken a very, very big step. That's why he is coming to you. So you have to understand that. So you have to look at the whole picture as well as whatever the client is telling you. So once you start doing it, then only you will get to know what the real picture looks like and how is it like. So it totally depends upon the case. Like, so that's what I do. I go beyond whatever the client is telling me. Looking beyond, that's what our skills are required. And that's how practice makes you perfect, in this case. The more you practice, the more situations, the more, case studies you do, the more exposure you get. That's how you get better at counseling. So that's what it is.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Ananya.
In relation to this question only, say for example, if the husband is coming, don't we have the inclination to help him before we go on to his wife, since he's the one who's approaching us?
That's what I told you, the confidentiality part. We have to take into account both of the things. Like, we want to know the other part of the story as well, but yes, we have to take whoever has approached us first. We have to look into that person first. So, but we can always, if we feel that, we do not have much information about the family environment, and about the concerns that he's facing, so we can definitely ask them. In reality, you can ask them that, yes, can I also talk to your wife, just to, help me understand the relation better. But yes, our first priority should be to the client who has actually come to us, who's taken the first step. You are right in this case.
Yeah.
Next. So yes, coming to marital history, ask for age at marriage, any parental consent for marriage, like spouse age, occupation, personality, state of health, are relevant to patient circumstances, should be documented. Also ask for role allocation, sharing of responsibility, and decision making, perceived as adequacy of sexual relationship, knowledge and use of contraception should be documented. Pre-morbid personal information. So, social relations, predominant mood, what is the character of the person, attitude towards self, strengths and weaknesses. So here, although self-esteem, low energy, I feel I lose my patience, all these things will come. What is the client's attitude towards self? He will tell you that I'm not able to manage my time. I'm not able to give time to my wife. I know that, but then, I just lose patience. So all of these things. I'm very good at, organizing my things. I do this and that at home. So, all of this. Attitude to work and responsibility. Adaptability, how smart he is when it comes to adaptability. Is he very rigid about change, any change in life? What are his habits, moral standards? So all of this. So any doubts before we move to mental status examination? No? Okay. So before we move to MSc, who would like to volunteer for a role play? Any two? Actually, everyone has to participate, so it's just the first who wants to go first. Just waiting. Okay. And so Dave wants to go first. And so I want two people to participate in this. So one can be the client and one can be the counselor. That's okay. You can just fake it. You do not have to give your, true information. That's just a practice role play. Any one of you could do that. All of you have to participate. Who wants to go first? That's what I want to know. So you want to become the counselor or the client?
Many things.
Okay, so now she is giving her openness for anything, so you can decide whoever is the second person who wants to go. Quickly, let's not waste our time on deciding part. Okay, Vishnu ji, आप जानना चाहेंगे?
Yeah, Aisha.
Sure. So you want to become the client or the counselor?
I may be the client.
You want to become the client. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dev, you have to take case history. Whatever we've discussed, try and cover as much as you can. And if any doubts, then you can ask. Do you want to take a minute to decide, or you want to go ahead?
Okay, I'll go ahead.
You'll go ahead. And remember whatever we discussed in the last part, how do we initiate a session, just try and build some rapport as well. Yes, you both can start.
Okay. So, hi, Vishnu Prasad. I am Devkanya and I will be your counselor. So, how are you doing today?
I am very fine, madam. Fine, going very good today.
Okay, so before I start the session, I just want to tell that you can be open with all your thoughts as everything you say would be confidential. And so, tell me what brings you here.
Actually, I not productive. I always want to do many things in a day, but actually it ends up with maybe one or two things. Then I think the day has gone. It is not productive or inefficient. So I want every day to be something new, something energetic, but every day pass on like a normal day. Nothing happens. So life, I feel like life is not changing. It's very monotonous. So I don't know why I procrastinate things, or am I lazy? Or everybody says I have talent, but I don't know whether I have any problem within. That is because that's why I am postponing things for the next day. Likewise, many problems. So I always, that's why I'm here.
Okay, so may I know since when are you having this? Like, is it since your childhood or is it a new problem?
No, I think it is for the last 2 years. I have this thought. Achieved what I have thought. So it is when I started, when I became 30 years, I felt like I lost my 20s. I am in the 20s. I lost that vibe. I am in the 30s right now. So I feel I am inefficient. So I should have achieved more than what I've achieved today. That is when I started this feeling. Maybe for the last 1 year, I think.
All right. Have you ever heard any complaints from your teachers during your childhood about such things that you are inactive, you're not attending, or not doing your work on time?
No, not such complaints. I remember. Maybe no, I don't felt so. I think I was good, but at childhood, even the childhood, I think I want to be a perfectionist. Maybe that thing always pulled me back because whenever I do something, I take some time. I think again, I'm doing right or not. When it gets right, I take the risk to do that. Maybe such incidents have happened even after my childhood also. I think there are some instances where I try to be perfectionist, And my teachers have told me, don't try to be perfectionist.
All
Go
right.
wrong, but do it.
Correct. Correct. So now what do you do for a living?
Vishnuji, we lost you. I couldn't hear.
Hello, can you hear me, madam?
Yes, yes, now we can.
No, I was expecting question from the counselor. I thought she was asking question. Sorry.
So she asked you a question that what do you do for your living right now?
Okay, I didn't hear that. Sorry, madam. Sorry. Okay.
No
So,
worries.
okay, right now I'm working in State Bank of India,
Okay.
Cochin.
Okay. So can you tell me about your daily schedule? How do you manage your work and your life?
Ma'am,
I think the connection is lost again.
ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you now, but we couldn't hear you before.
Okay, can you ask me the question again? Maybe I somehow lost in
Yeah,
between.
yeah, sure. Can you tell me about your daily schedule, how you manage your life and your work?
Okay, I think it's maybe first of all thing I don't like my work. That is the main problem I felt always. That always disappoints me. So even if I'm doing good at work, but personally I don't felt that it is the right destination where I am. Everybody says I behave well, I do well at work. So everybody asks me for maybe some important things. They say, okay, they need Vishnu for the thing to do. But I does it well, but I'm not satisfied in my inner heart. I'm not satisfied. I have felt various times I felt that I'm not satisfied with. I feel that I'm not performing because I'm not happy at the innermost heart.
All right. So have you ever tried of shifting to some other job which would give you the enthusiasm to do your work better?
Yes, madam, many a times, but that perfectionist is always inside me. So
All right. And
that perfectionist.
all right. And what about your family? Are you married?
Yeah, I'm married. I have 2 kids.
All right. So is this issue of perfectionism affecting your family life also?
As you can imagine, a wife with 2 kids, so you will be always thinking about them before shifting our job or some taking some risk. So that is my wife supports me well, but taking things of them and their future also, we'll be thinking twice or thrice before taking a big leap.
All right. And let's talk about any problem medical conditions that you have suffered from in the past. Is it there?
Can't hear you.
No, ma'am, nothing, no medical history as of now for me.
Okay. And any such problems of perfectionism or any other mental health issue earlier, which has affected your daily lives?
No, madam. I don't know whether maybe inside me, which I don't know, but In my conscious mind, I don't know anything else.
Right. Ma'am, I'm like completely lost what to ask.
You're doing really good. You're doing really good. So maybe you can ask some more things about the family. What kind of is he living in a nuclear or a joint family? Where are his parents? And all of that. Maybe some more information you can ask.
Yes, ma'am. Right.
Madam, have you
I
asked?
thought you guys are pursuing it further. But great job. Great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think they both deserve a big round of applause from each one of you. At least you can unmute. If not, put on your videos, you can unmute and clap for them. Please do that. They were the first ones to volunteer and have the courage to hold a whole round of good conversation for at least 8 to 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 to 9 minutes, and with good back and forth conversation despite some connectivity issues, which is actually very, very good. And Devkanya, you were amazing, amazing with however, you were connecting. This is what is required by a counselor to actually connect one thing with the other and then ask the other question, then probe. Maybe a lot of areas I felt maybe you could probe a bit more in detail from the client, and you could use encouragers more, just to make sure that the client is also, feeling much more comfortable, and a bit of rapport formation could have been done. But for the first time, this thing, it was amazing, really good. And with whatever points I told you, you tried to cover with everything. But that's great. A bit about the family, a bit more about him, about his daily routine. How is it like? Maybe the timings. All those details could have been taken, so it could have been more precise. Like, especially when he's telling you he's not able to, actually manage his time. Perfectionism, when it comes to perfectionism. So, what kind of perfectionism, where he gets stuck? So, all of these things you could have asked. But yes, it was amazing. You did well. And I'm very happy and proud of both of you that you at least took the effort. And so all of you have to participate. There is no way that they both only will be doing the role plays. We all have owned up for this course. So we have to do it. There's no other choice. Okay. So coming to the MSc. Yes. So it talks about appearance, level of alertness, awareness of environment. So first thing is the appearance. How does the patient look? Is he coming neatly dressed with clear attention to detail? How is he dressed up? Is he dressed up in his pajamas, or is he actually wearing a proper casual attire, or something formal? Is he neatly dressed or very shabbily dressed? Like, for example, if he's wearing a shirt and a pant, if it's not tucked in, it's tucked out, the cuffs are not tied up. So all of those things, just notice small details about your client. How is he looking presentable, or is he looking shabby? Maybe he or she is not combed his or her hair, or all of those things, just note them down. So, level of alertness. Is the patient conscious? If not, can they be aroused? Can they remain focused on your questions and conversations, like for a longer period of time? Like, do they zone out very often? So, all of these things. What is their attention span? For how long can they hold a conversation? Do they actually just listen and go in their own world while talking to you, and you will be like, can you repeat? So very common signs that you will see. Can you repeat Again, I could not hear. I'm so sorry. I could not hear. Can you repeat it again? So this is something where you will get to know that the client is not very much alert, or the client is not there in the moment with you. Awareness of environment, also referred to as orientation. What is the orientation? Do they know where they are? What are they doing? Why are they here? So why do we ask them that what brings you here to us? So what is their orientation? Do they know who you are? Do they actually know? A lot of clients just come in because somebody told them to. So you actually have to see what is their orientation. Are they serious also about the counseling or not? You'll get to know. Do they have that much of orientation in terms of, can they tell you the day, date, year? Are they actually there in the moment? Are they aware? So this will also give you a hint about how their life is also functioning. If they are not able to tell today's date, that is also a sign that they are actually suffering. All right, so all these things are essential. Can they have sustained attention at that very moment on any task? So this is a very common thing that you can do. Digit span, forward and reverse. Like, I will recite a series of number to you, and then I will ask you to repeat them to me. First forward and then backwards. Begin with 3 numbers, not consecutive numbers. Like, for example, 2, 1. So the client has to say 2, 1. And then if you ask them to do backward, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 4, 3. So, this is the way you can do this with them. So this will help you know more about the client. So how much are they able to do? Serial sevens, starting with 100, subtract 7 from 100, then keep subtracting 7 from that. So this will help you to know, what kind of level of concentration, attention they have or not. And what is their speed? What is there? So this basically assesses the child person's working memory. How are they able to actually do it? If they are able to, if they will be not attentive, if they will not have enough concentration, they will have difficulties doing this. So this could be an activity that you could do with them, just to see what is their level of attention. Speech. Is it normal in tone, volume, quantity? So a lot of clients speak very loudly, So those are what kind of speech they have. Maybe they have slurred speech, So all of those things you have to take into account. Quickly write them down. Behavior. Is it pleasant? Is it cooperative? Or are they agitated? Is it appropriate to the particular situation? Like, for example, if they've come to your room and they've just put their feet on top of your table and just lie down on the chair, will that be an appropriate behavior to behave at that point of time? Are they in their own living room? Or they've come for counseling to you, right? So is it appropriate? Is he or she pleasant, cooperative, or they are just sitting quiet? They're not replying. There will be cases that wherein you see your client just not talking. They will just come, sit, and leave. They will not talk. Trust me, I'm not scaring you, but that happens. Maybe it will take 2, 3 sessions for them to just open up. So it depends upon the client. How is their effect? So how do they appear to you? This interpretation is based on the observation during the interview. Do they make eye contact or not? Are they excitable? Does the tone of their voice change? So you will notice whatever the client is very confident in, they will speak up in a raised voice. Wherever they feel that, they are maybe lying to you, or there is some diciness in them, so they will just go down. So their tone of voice can also, tell you a lot. about it. So, so this is also very essential. What is their mood? A sustained state of inner feeling. How are your spirits? How are you feeling? Have you been discouraged, depressed, low, blue? Have you been angry, irritable lately? So, have you been energized, elated, high, out of control lately? So, these are the things that you can definitely note down and ask, how is their thought process like? This is a description of the way in which they think. Are their comments logical and presented in an organized fashion? If not, how off base are they? Do they tend to stray quickly to related topics? Are their thoughts appropriately linked over the map? So, all of these things are to be taken into account. What exactly is their thought process like? Is it in an organized fashion or not? Or they are just speaking, maybe one line, they are just speaking of something else, and then they just deviate the topic to something else and just going off the base, not touching the topic at all. Do they change topics very often? This is also something to note. Thought content. What is the content of their thought? A description of what the client is thinking about. What do you think about when you are sad or angry? What's been on your mind lately? Do you find yourself ruminating about things? Are these thoughts or images that you have really difficult time getting out of your head? Are you worried, scared? So these are a few examples that you could, this is how you could ask. Are you feeling helpless, worthless, guilty? So you have to build a connect while asking all of these as well, right? So you have to note them down, indirectly ask them all of these things and know about the client. Any suicidal history or, any, so you will get red flags that, okay, yes, maybe he has a tendency. The client should be directly including. So in that case, any concerns regarding that? Do you ever feel that life isn't worth living? What is his, self-esteem level? Does he, if he has very low self-esteem, then there are chances that he might have suicidal thoughts. What would happen after you were dead? So all of these probing questions, these help you understand better. Do you think about hurting others or getting even with people who have wronged you? Have you had desires to hurt others? If so, how? So all of these things also have to be taken. Memory, recent memory. What is my name? What medications did you take today? This is just to see that is he in the present or not? What time was your appointment for me today? Remote memory. What were the dates of your graduation from high school, college, graduate? When and where were you when did you get married? Immediate memory and new learning. Suggested instructions. I'm going to ask you to remember 3 words: color, object, animal, blue, table, horse, and I will ask you to repeat them to me in 5 minutes. Please repeat them now after me. So the client will be like blue, table, horse. And then, what were those 3 words I asked you to remember? So, that's how you can check intellectual functions, information and vocabulary. Suggested instructions. Name the last 5 presidents. Name 5 of the largest cities in the country. Vocabulary. Make sentences with 3 words. Basic calculation. 15 plus 12 plus 7. Maybe multiplication. If something, maybe a word problem, a small word problem, you can give them. If something costs 78 rupees, you would, just to check their presence of mind as well and their intelligence, how, smart they are. How are they good with abstract thinking? Similarities. How are you following items similar? An apple and an orange. round, concrete, fruit. So, those are the abstract things. Proverbs. Would you describe the meaning of the following sayings? So, these could be the ones that you can ask for abstract thinking. For judgment, what would you do if you got injured while you are outside your home? So this will give you some details about the client. How would you behave when you go to a party? How is he when he is socially there? If you were in a movie theater and smell smoke, what would you do? So this is also about the community awareness, right? And we're testing on that. What would you do? Insight. What brings you here today? What seems to be the problem? Just to know what is there inside the client, right? What level of awareness is there? What do you think is causing your problems? How do you understand your problems? So it's very essential how the client takes his or her problem. Remember when we were discussing about the other things. So it's all about the perspective, how the client takes it. So it will differ from client to client. How is he taking his problem? Maybe how others view his problem. So it's very different. So this is the end of it. If you want, then I can just go through the slides again. And if you want to note down anything, you can. Maybe the pointers, just what all to cover. If you want to, let me know. I'll just go through them one by one for all those who want to just note down. Any questions that you guys have? I know it was a lot of information today because these were the very important and both had to be covered together because yes, both are interrelated and you have to do it whenever you see it. So we learned about how do we initiate the session and then you applied it in a role play today, which was very good. And did the case history taking and mental status examination. Any questions that you have?
Ma'am, one doubt.
Yes.
While we're examining the presence of mind, we are asking many type of questions to the client. Won't the client feel that we are mocking him or asking the silly questions? Maybe sometimes he may feel that why is the guy asking me this very simple question like that? So will he, if he thinks in that way, what will we do?
So, see, it's all about how you present it to the client, right? So you have to present it to a client in, conversational form, not to make him feel that you are asking him questions, right? That's the most important thing. If you will just start taking out your questionnaire and just start asking that this and that, this and that. So, for first 5-10 minutes, it's okay. But after that, the client just zones out. In reality, he or she just zones out. But yes, you have to have that thing in mind and you have to just, even while talking, having conversations. So you should be very much aware. So maybe if you are asking one thing in the starting and then maybe one thing in the end, you have to be very very carefully. You can't ask the client again. Maybe if something is repetitive, you can't ask the client again. So you have to make your own judgments, club, whatever. So before the session, just plan how are you going to actually ask him. How are you going to take the conversation forward? Maybe 2 or 3 things together you're going to ask him. See, this is the process that you follow, but how you do it, that you are actually doing it with your client. See, maybe some things are interrelated to each other, and a lot of times, what happens is if you ask a question, then the client answers for 2 or 3 more questions by himself only, and then you gather that information on your own, right? You do not have to ask those questions again. Oh, and then if he's already answered, he'll get very annoyed at you if he has to answer it again. So while having conversations, and inform the client that I want to know more about you, and that's how I'll be able to help you. Everyone is cooperative in this manner because they are here for help, right? How will you help if they will not give some information? So clients do not hesitate giving information, but at the same point of time, you cannot take out the questionnaire and just ask them, bombard them with questions, they will run away. So you cannot do that. So you have to be very smart while having conversations, keep noting down your information and keep clubbing those things together and ask. So whenever you're having a conversation, once you practice, you will get to know that, okay, I'm asking this part together, and that's how I'll be able to, and while having a conversation with your client, automatically, if you are thorough with all the process that this, I need to know, it will all keep coming in your mind after the other, one after the other. The more the more you practice, you will not have to even look at the questionnaire. You'll be able to do it. Like case history just comes in like this now. So the more you do it, it will come. And clients do not even get to know that they've given you so much of information. They'll just talk, went out, and then that's how they'll be giving you information as well. But yes, remember to keep it precise and concise and not go overboard just with the case history, because it takes a lot of time to take case history. And most of the clients who are coming to you, I have observed from my personal experience with my clients that a lot of times clients are here just to talk to you. They're happy to share their life with you. So, a lot of times, as I told you, I had for few clients where they did not even talk for 3 sessions, and then they opened up maybe later on, but they did not talk. So they took their own time, and I respected their own time. So that's all right. But yes, when it comes to those, they are happy to share things with you, but maybe it's like you cannot trust them 100% that they will tell you everything correctly in the very first. Maybe eventually later on you will be able to know, okay, this is what he told me, and this is what you'll be able to relate with the incidents that they share in the further sessions. So you have to be very, that's why it's very important. And remember all those techniques that we've learned, paraphrasing, so summarizing, all of that you have to take into account whenever you are doing any counseling session, as well as even while case history taking, you can, use those techniques as well. That's very important. So that will help you build from one question to the other, and you will not have to ask them like a questionnaire. A lot of counselors do ask them like a questionnaire only, like they ask them. So a lot of people have a format also that they give to the client as well, like for a personal information, this thing that they already have, they fill it and they share it. So it depends upon the organization you're working with, or are you having your own private practice. Ananya, you wanted to say something? I thought that I think I heard her, and then all right.
Madam, I have one more doubt.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
sometimes maybe parents may take their children, maybe due to some issues, maybe adolescent children, or in a husband-wife relationship, or sometimes, as you said, why I am here because somebody has said me to come here, like that they may feel uncomfortable. So
Mm.
at the some situations, people will become so much defensive. Maybe they say, okay, I know everything. Okay, I have heard about this, like that. They may become overconfident or something like that. Like they don't believe us, like that. Oh, I know all things, and just because I came here because somebody told me to be here, like that they will behave. So how can we make them flexible?
So you can't change the client, right? But you can change yourself. So in this case, like even if the client is in a denial mode that yes, I know everything, this and that. So prove it to the client that you also know things, right? So in not a defensive manner, I'm telling you, but yes, definitely you can, in a diplomatic manner, you can prove it to the client. Maybe you can go, so you have to look at the comments, as I told you, strengths and weaknesses. There are some weaknesses that you might find that this is where the client is struggling in, this is where while talking to him or her, you find, and then maybe you can find a common page and then move ahead, and then the client will come down to, yes, you're absolutely right, I'm also suffering from this and this. Yes, absolutely, this is happening with me. You are right. So, you have to give time. You have to be very, very patient with such clients. A lot of patience is required at this point of time. You have to make them, be on the same page with them, write their journey with them, and then, help them understand. Okay. So it will take time. With eventual sessions, they will be able to come to that acceptance. So this is a very common thing that they will be in denial that I know it, you don't know, but then they are here to you, right, for help. It's not just one cannot just force anybody to go until unless there's not their will, right? People can give numbers, share numbers, you can contact. People can help you. Maybe in the first session, someone brings them to you that, okay, I've brought her, she's having some concerns. But yes, there is the will. If they are coming for the second session, that means they are coming from their will. So there is something that is bringing them to you. So you will have to find that common point and then, work upon that.
Madam, you said that okay, some clients opened in third session, fourth session, like that. Okay, just one doubt is that how you prolong the first two sessions, because unless they open up, how can we talk about the next thing? As said today in our role play, after asking some questions, our counselor couldn't ask the next question. So such situations may come because when the other guy is not telling anything, it is like we cannot ask more questions because the other guy is not opening up. So maybe our session will last for just a matter of 8 to 10 minutes, like that. So how we prolong the session in a one-way conversation, that thing.
So this is where your good counseling skills will come into place. Definitely, it might last for this long only, and you will have to tell the client also that, okay, I understand you are not prepared for the session today, and you're not in a uh, this thing to take the session today. Maybe in the next session, and you can maybe tell your objective for the next session so the client is prepared. So a lot of clients would be of this kind wherein they need to be prepared before they come in. What are you going to do? What is your plan of actions? Maybe you could share. We will be talking about a few things, and maybe you could give them some homework that they could do, maybe some research work that they could do before they come in. Maybe they could read about a few things just to, so making the client read about a few things is also a very good thing, you know uh a lot of, see, it depends upon the client also, if they are willing to. I've had a client wherein she used to not open up initially, but then when I asked her to read about a few things which I felt would be helpful for us, she read and she started opening up then. Yes, and she could relate to those things. Yes, because I found some good articles for her so that she could read, and she could correlate to that this is what is happening with her as well. So, and then after a few sessions, she could develop that trust that yes, I will be able to help her. So, a lot of initial sessions, clients also test you that will you be actually be able to help the client or not. They are also thinking, no, whenever you go for any new course or anything also, you are also, in this thing that will she be able to teach me? Will she be able to help me out? So just like the way you go for any shopping also, will this look good on me? So you have that apprehension, right? So just a similar way, the client also has that apprehension with him or her, that will she be able to actually help me? So initial few sessions, the client is also testing you that will you actually be able to help him or her or not? So that's how. So in a situation like this, maybe reading a few articles which the client is experiencing, maybe something similar would help, and some motivating stories that the client could read. So all of these things could also be used, but it totally depends upon, see, it's not about how long the session should last, but how effective it is. That's also important. If you are able to make an impact, some clients don't want to go for a 45-50 minute session, they just want to do half an hour, but it should be effective. So it depends. It depends. And some go overboard for 1.5 hour to 2 hours also. They will not stop. They do not want to leave. They feel so good. So, it depends. But it's also upon you how much time you devote with your client and how much activities you make him or her do, how boring or how fun are your sessions. So that also depends. So, even if the client is not talking, maybe initially, then after a few sessions, he or she is opening up, but give time. I would say do not lose hope and do not lose patience. That's what. It should also be, it should also not be like the client is paying for your sessions and, you are just wasting time and the client will run away then. He or she has to be in sync with whatever you are thinking. So be open about things with your client, right? Always, that's what my experience has been. I've been very open that why I'm not doing this, why I thought that I will do this with you, but this is why I'm not doing it. Because sometimes I plan some things for my clients and then I feel that they are not in a right current state to do it. Then I change my plan that okay, this will might not work, and I tell them that I have modified what I thought that we'll do because I don't think it's going to work out right now. So you have to be very alert and you have to use your brain. So this is where you apply your skills, right? So we wrap up for today. I hope you all had a good learning experience. I had fun with you all. I want some more participation from next time, please. Requesting you, and everyone has to participate in the role plays that we do. So thank you and bye bye. Take care. And see you tomorrow.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you. Bye bye.